Oh, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back again to the Dream League Lucky Number Season 13. I am Lyrical, and I'm going to be joined as well by one of the most wonderful people this side of the equator, Mr. Draskell Dota 2. How you doing, sir? Oh, no. Oh, yeah. You know what happened? I put on push to talk, and it needs to be on voice activity. Andy, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. How are you, Gabe?
I'm doing great. Just the normal little technical hiccup right at the start to set the tone for the whole cast.
It's a true classic. It wouldn't be, Dota if we didn't have some sort of problem happen.
Definitely. And speaking of which, we had a little bit of a delay in this one, although it doesn't look like there's any penalties assigned to it, as it was a bit of a technical delay. EG took some time getting in with some Steam Cloud issues. Have you had that thing go on where like your all of your hotkeys reset when you're playing? Do you know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
God, that's happened to me like 10 times.
I don't know what it is. I'm not sure if that's what it was, but it seems like there was some type of issue going on.
Yeah, it's probably like a sync thing with Steam Cloud where it doesn't remember all your stuff. Because that happened to me like right at the start of 7.23. I had to rebind everything on every hero.
Oh God.
And some heroes you don't play that often. And then you come back to it, like a month later, and you're like, wait a minute, why are none of my hotkeys working? And they go, oh yeah, that's right, the Steam Cloud broke, and then you have to redo everything.
Yeah, well, and getting it started, you want to make sure that you get everything right. We should mention real quickly as well that this is just Group D action that we're looking at today. Two teams that are either the antidote to or the cause of your pro Dota frustration in Navi versus Evil Geniuses, to varying degrees, depending on who you support. But super excited to watch them today. Big fan of a couple of the people on the Navi squad that have sort of followed for a while. A big fan of Zayats and Crystallize. And then, of course, EG. I mean, everybody knows these dudes. They're amazing. It's going to be awesome. I'm super stoked. I'm kind of curious, though. The big thing that we were talking about right before the game got started was that they haven't played a lot in the past month. So I'm curious if they're going to go for something completely different, or if it's going to just be more of the same.
It's one of those things where since it has been such a long time since either of these teams have really played in any sort of an online tournament setting, that it's going to be down to what they've been scrimming with. So obviously the teams have been playing against each other and whatnot, and I think EG plays like a million pubs a day. Every time you go to the watch tab, you see like Arteezy and Fly play together and Abed and Crit play together and all this stuff. So I'm sure that at this point in the meta, it's more about what you feel is strong in a pub setting. And all three of the heroes that I'm seeing right now are just pub heroes. And that's usually how Dota kind of evolves over time. It's first a patch comes out, then you play like the obviously OP stuff, then it kind of gets nerfed, and then you find the stuff that you think is good after the fact, and that's pretty much what we're going to see here. So Omni and Slark, very common. Slark is just, he's a monster right now in the current state of the game. The jungle items help these really weak safe laners a lot. Even just having like a shovel, or especially things like Pupil's Gift on core heroes that are non-strength, just gives you an enormous amount of stats and ability to just pretty much go into fights. And obviously the addition of the Aghanims, which allows you to pounce probably too far, in my opinion. But yeah, strong overall. And then we see an OD insta counter to a double melee opening. Obviously, OD, one of the notoriously strong heroes against Slark. He has a very low int gain, which means that the new OD ulti hits like a truck. And he has a double save if he opts to go for the Aghanims build.
Yeah, totally. It's just a monstrous combo. I can tell you talking about the core heroes here. To me, the one that stands out, and I think you're right, is the pub hero IO. Like it never used to be that, but now it's so easy to play that everybody has an IO, and it just feels insane. Overcharge is just like the strongest spell in the game right now. I feel like it's absolutely nuts.
It's always been really good. And they also added like the regen component on
Yeah.
top of it. So that's one of those things where anything that gives you sustain in the early game is always going to be very, very powerful. Because a lot of heroes rely on, whittling you down over time. You win the lane through attrition. You force the other person to ferry out regen. That puts you ahead economically, and, you play the game from there. But IO is not only a really strong laner in a lot of cases, but during the mid game, it's just that pressure. If he's off the map and another core that he's following around is off the map, that taking engagements is just going to be, it could potentially be +2 heroes at any time. And that makes it really, really hard. However, with an opening like Omni Slark, these heroes can actually play quite fast nowadays. I know it's kind of weird to say that Omni Knight is one of those fast heroes because, mechanically speaking, he pretty much just runs around and casts Divine Grace or whatever the heck it's called on your
Yeah.
core hero, and that's about it. But honestly, like we were talking about earlier with like the addition of the jungle items, you kind of come online a lot faster with
Mhm.
a lot of these lineups because one or two extra things in your inventory can mean the difference between being able to push that tier one or not be able to. So, I mean, looking at the second phase bans, PL obvious choice. Neither one of these heroes deal well with him at all. Diffusal Blade. I mean, honestly, in my opinion, PL is probably one of the strongest cores right now,
Yeah.
just from the safe lane at least.
Well, and that's what's so interesting, right? Is that it feels like there's a lot of those heroes that in pubs are really, really strong. Sometimes that falls apart in the pro games. You don't really know until you see somebody try and deal with it. But I haven't seen anybody really deal with PL super well. And you talk about like the speed that you can play with this Navi draft. And that makes sense why you're banning out the Huskar, why you're trying to take the Doom out, these heroes that enable some early aggression there. But Navi going to take the Rubik, super strong, and another one of those heroes that's just like annoying as hell to deal with when you're trying to last hit in lane. You just get fade bolted in the face. It sucks. It's awful.
It's a really strong pairing. Like if it's an Omni Rubik lane, the minus damage, like you mentioned, from the Fade Bolt and a sustain, and it's really hard to commit on the 4 position when you're laning against an Omni
Yeah.
because if you rely on like stunning or slowing in order to kill that hero, it's just not going to work, right? You use your spells, it gets purged off, and then they just kind of walk away, and everything is just back to status quo. But in like right now, the thing that we can look at Navi to really abuse, and in the ban phase we just saw, they took out both illusion heroes, which they knew they wouldn't deal well with.
Mm.
Um, but they get rid of those. But now their issue is that they actually kind of lack catch. So I'm looking at like their mid position and potentially another hero to maybe help them start fights. So it's either going to have to be some kind of initiator or something that's very good at walking up into towers. And by the way, did your pick screen just break or was that just me?
I think that's just you.
Oh, well, that's
Everything looks
not
all
good.
fine. Hopefully, you're
Let
gonna
me
be
see
good
if I
again.
can reconnect.
Okay. What did it break like? I want to hear the description of what happened.
So all the heroes disappeared. All the names of the heroes disappeared. And I can't. I can see the bands, but that's it. That's literally all I can see.
All right. Well, they just picked Crystal Maiden on EG, so I'll help you out with the radio cast. I'm good at it. My computer's broken a few times as well, so
Okay.
I know what to do.
Well,
Uh,
reconnecting actually fixed it, so I
nice.
think it's fine now.
I was kind of wondering because, like, I've seen sometimes people go for the Bane with the IO. I feel like that's a super classic combo. CM doesn't feel like it's maybe as much setup, but maybe more like D push, if that's something that they would be worried about. What do you see in the CM that you really like? Is it just all about that aura?
It's a lot of it is aura, and I think it's because they know that picking this kind of support that wants to be more of zone oriented, because you know where that CM's going, right? It's going bottom, and it's
Right.
going to be landing against a Rubik Omni. I think that EG probably want to slow play this lane rather than going for some sort of really strong kill lane. So I'm looking at like Magnus for EG, some hero that really benefits from the aura, having the IO as well. Just some hero that's going to be able to take advantage of the fact that this lane's not really looking for necessarily getting kills. And I
Mhm.
don't really see EG running a tri lane either. Like with their heroes right now, I'm not really seeing what they would pick. And at the moment, I'm okay with it for EG.
Right.
And for Navi, I'm still looking for that hero that's gonna, either start fights or allow them to walk up to buildings because that's kind of what they're lacking right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess hypothetically, you could like swap out and put this Omni 5. I think it's been a while since we've actually seen that happen. But more
It could be,
likely the
yeah.
Omni 3. I guess do you get the double regen off of the CM aura with IO too, don't you? Am I crazy
Right.
in
That's
that?
why I was mentioning like a
Yeah.
hero that benefits from the aura a bit more.
Yeah.
Because you can, when you do have all of that mana regen, you can just spam spells forever.
Legion
Ooh.
Commander.
Okay, Legion IO. This is a pretty standard thing. It's an instant pick once they see the Warlock. Warlock Slark is another lane that I would consider, slow playable. You just use the heal to keep the Slark alive until he's 6. Try to give him as much EXP as you can so he can get that Shadow Dance, and then he can just play his own game. I don't know. Navi, I think, they're kind of playing too many backliners, in my opinion.
Mm,
Like a bunch of heroes that don't really want to commit to the fight. They don't start anything on their own. So whatever they last pick, like this hero has to be able to get a lot done. I was kind of okay with it when they just had the Slark Omni Rubik because I'm like, okay, there's 2 heroes that they could potentially pick to make stuff happen around the map. But now it's literally all about we just walk around during the mid game as a group of heroes and hope some stuff happens. And
Yeah.
I'm not really like, in general, I'm not a huge fan of those types of lineups, but we'll see what their fifth pick is and if it solves kind of the issues I feel like they have right now.
Yeah, I mean, Warlock definitely is not that type of hero. Is Puck still in the pool?
No, he was first
Oh
ban.
yeah, it was first ban. I was
That
like, there's
hero
no
is
way.
real good.
I was like, they need a Puck. That's just, I could insert that into any sentence about any draft ever.
Yeah.
Puck.
I mean, there's still a couple of heroes that they could go with to make that happen. This is
Oh,
actually
snap.
a great Ricky game. This
Oh
is such a
god.
good game.
I was literally going to talk about Ricky so much if it ever got picked because I feel like this hero is insane. You were talking about like pub heroes being really good. This to me feels like the one that everybody's been sleeping on. Safe lane Ricky. Arteezy's finally doing it. The memes are alive and well. Oh god, it's going to be great.
He's been playing it a lot in pubs.
Yeah.
I watch I watch a lot of pubs lately because I'm always curious to see what the pro cores are doing and all that other stuff. And Ricky has been very, very prevalent in these games. It's also a very, very good hero against Slark. The Cloud just completely destroys him. And the main thing about it is you have this hero that is going to be playing off the map a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And the thing about Slark that makes him so good is against certain lineups, if you don't feel like there's a hero on the map that kind of kills you, then you can just play as aggressive as you want. But now there's a Slark on the field. There's going to be a Legion commander who eventually, we can assume is going to get a Blink Dagger and whatnot. So there's two heroes that kind of stop the Slark from having a nice game. And then on top of that, you have Abed's OD.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of scary stuff for Crystallize this game going into, the 15 to 25 minute mark that he's going to have to think about and be like, okay, there's a lot of pressure on that hero in particular. So Navi round things out with a TA. It's a fine matchup against OD. You're going to be able to farm. Both these heroes more or less just they get their CS and they kind of ignore each other during the laning phase because neither one of them can really commit for a kill. So I don't know. Navi's lineup to me just feels it's not bad that it's greedy, but it does feel a little bit like they're not going to be the ones who are controlling the pace of the game. It's going to be all about, EG making plays and doing stuff around the map.
I will say that it feels like if like EG commit to a fight, they could just get demolished. Like I always feel that Warlock can be pretty heavily underestimated. You get one good rock, a fatal bonds down, and things are going to hurt. And EG doesn't have like the greatest team fight in the world. But I definitely agree that like it's dependent upon EG to sort of run into him and make that mistake.
Yeah.
God, this Ricky, I'm just so stoked for it. Have you played a ton of it? The new changes that he has?
Yeah, I've played it a fair bit since the patch. He feels strong.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you can get it in such a late pick scenario like this. Obviously, they get it after they see at least one of the cores, both supports. You get to see your lane matchup as well. It's kind of the dream for a Ricky to be able to have all that information before you pick it. But in my experience, the hero's laning phase is actually quite a bit better in regards to being able to go for kills. Now, normally against Omni Knight, I would say that these types of dual lanes that rely on like stuns and slows to be able to get kills are not really that good. But fortunately for Ricky, he just does a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Like you get the double blink strike, you get the tricks, your base damage is significantly better than it used to be. And while you don't have backstab, I think his mobility more than makes up for that fact. So I think that with this hero in particular, there is kill potential, but we'll have to see how the things go in the lane for both teams.
And part of it too is just like all that added regen that he got. Like, look, he's at 38 right at the start right here. It's insane.
Yeah, that's OP, man. That giving him all that regen.
Yeah.
I think he has something like close to 5.
Yeah, it's nuts.
Without the well.
So the other thing that I've really been going back and forth on of how strong I think it is the level 15 talent for him. Since we're at a pause, I'm just going to gush about all the things that I want to talk about with Ricky here. That smoke screen cooldown, I think, is super undervalued. It looks like in pubs, everybody goes for the 35 damage, but I feel like bringing that down to like a 6-second cooldown for 6-second duration is insane.
Yeah, it's a permacloud. It's always been a really powerful talent. The one thing, and this is a really old metric for any sort of safe lane or mid lane that wants to hit creeps, is the attack speed into damage or the damage into attack speed talents.
Okay.
And that's mainly because, it's a farm accelerant. Ricky in particular, if he gets an early defusal, he can play the map. And a lot of the time for him, it's about how fast that hero dies, right? Like if
Right.
you can kill a warlock or a Rubik before they have a chance to cast any spells, sometimes that can be better than just like the minus CD and the cloud. Not saying that that one's bad. That's obviously also a great talent, but I feel
Right.
like those are the ones that you get when you know that the fights are going to be really long,
Hmm.
because that way you get a lot of clouds off, whereas the damage is more about I want to blow this guy up.
Yeah. I guess it does depend a lot upon what like the rest of your composition wants to do. And maybe with the IO, that's going to be the other thing that they can set up for, right? Like Ricky just finds somebody, then they IO jump in, duel, or maybe it's just Legion that goes in for it. But there's a lot of ways to set up for those relocate ganks. So something Navi is going to have to be on the lookout for. I'm really excited to watch this Navi lineup. I mentioned that right at the start. I feel like Zayat's last year was one of the underdogs. If you ever have had a tree in your game that drops down a little ironwood branch first, he was the first pro to do it. The dude's a baller. He's the cause of your suffering if you hate playing against tree.
Yeah, tree is a nightmare. As a ex safe laner, I don't really play safe lane much anymore.
Hmm.
I kind of just play mid now, but back when they first changed that hero and they gave him the tree walking stuff back, oh my god. It's pretty much why I stopped playing safe lane. Like I had to play against treants like every single game, and I had PTSD.
Oh
It's
no.
not good.
Well, that's your man. That's the guy who did it to you. Abed here, gonna be able to get that first deny out and the last hit for OD. As good a start as you could hope for. And we'll see how the TA deals with them. A hero that Magical's really comfortable on. I would say it's one of his best heroes. But obviously OD is a problem. And man, these Cyblades getting into
Yeah,
him.
he's owning him right now.
Jeez.
It's one of these things that makes TA. A lot of pros will tell you that this hero kind of 50-50s every matchup, and basically that means no matter what you pick against TA, even if you do like a Viper or whatever, which I think Navi actually banned, and like their was like fourth or fifth ban, something like
Hmm.
that.
Right.
That's like one of the few heroes that can really, really shut down a TA. But no matter what, this hero is going to get stuff done. That's just kind of what she does.
Very, very solid. Up here on the top side, it does look like Ricky is going to be able to pull the creep wave pack past the tower, as there was another pull going on the other side. So a little bit of support versus support, and then core versus core going on the top lane. Shenanigans abound.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit passive. I would say that not really any of these lanes are screaming kill potential to me. It's more going to be about which lane kind of messes up whoever like overextends a little bit too far, because there's not really a lot of stuns to go around on either side.
Yeah. Magical, they're able to snipe an observer ward in the mid lane too. As he brought out the sentry for himself and keeps on getting the hits in into Abed, who had to ferry out already one salve. And actually,
Goodness.
God, that's what the fairy fire is for, I guess.
Yeah, however good you are with side blades is basically how good you are as a TA player. That's kind of how this hero rolls. So if you're really, really good at it, you can win any matchup. That being said, he is still lagging a little bit behind on the CS, and we're going to be most likely seeing that extra economy from Abed just go back into regen anyway.
Get a little bit there of the imprisonment, then head back the other direction. So yeah, it's again a little bit strange the way that these lanes are looking up here on the top side, as it kind of is just supports trying to pull creeps back whenever he can on the Rubik. Down bottom, we haven't really talked about it all that much, but the Slark so far 10-2, facing off against this Legion IO combo that's been causing him some pain.
Yeah, this lane is honestly for the Slark. Crystallize is more than happy to go even with the Legion. He's actually going to commit here on a crit with the pounce, but Tether's going to get him out. But anytime you can trade evenly with the offlaner as Slark, you're going to be pretty happy with yourself. So I think Navi are feeling pretty comfy with their lanes at the moment.
Yeah, but a nice start to it, despite being down a little bit in that CS. And I guess that's also where maybe you could see a little bit of a change up when they try and group together and make things happen across the map with pushes and such. I mean, I'm really curious to see how they play against this IO, because to me it feels like it's in a lot of ways the same type of hero where you play on the other side of the map with the other three and then those others farm. But with the Ricky, there's kind of that weird little caveat, right, where he could maybe set up for kills but has to match that with like when does he farm, you know what I'm talking about?
It is going to be all about vision, in my opinion, when you talk about that. As we do see the first blood here, it looks like the side blades finally got the better of Abed. It's a big kill too for Magical because he was starting to lag behind in a little bit of the CS. He was like 4 or 5 denies behind, a couple of CS. It does add up over time. But like you were talking about, like if the Riki wants to go for kills or he wants to farm, a lot of that's going to be about the warding from EG. So they don't really have that initiation hero until Ramses has a Blink Dagger. Top lane as well looks like we're going to see a little scuffle.
He's got another Blink Strike, but he's going to have to jump over to Fly. Fade Bolt Punch needs another one, another Blink Strike away, and barely able to get out of there and salves up afterwards. Fly is taking the business, though.
Yeah.
Gets taken down.
That was ice cold from Arteezy, man. He had stick that whole time, didn't even pop it. He's just like, nah, I'm not dying here. It's fine. I would have like panicked sticks, drop an Ironwood branch in that path and everything. Wasted so much resources to not die there. But no, they get away with the Riki at least, and Navi with the first 2 kills. But these types of games, if EG can't get control of the ward game, it's going to be very difficult for them to start fights. And I think that's kind of what Navi are banking on here.
Being able to outvision them in the game, yeah. Top lane, looks like Ricky's able to get out, but did not manage to pick up that bounty rune. EG on the bottom side of the map are going to be able to pick up 2 for themselves, which is pretty nice early on. Crit not going for a bottle as he's opted for more of just that base regen, pulling onto the Fairy Fires. They lay in to crystallize a little bit. And laning stage still very even across the board, it feels like. You know, a little bit into the favor of EG here, but not to a horrible amount, at least for now.
I mean, the only one who's really suffering here is Abed. This guy has eaten so many side blades. I don't even know. Like, Magical's TA is a lot better than I remember, that's all I'll say.
That guy's killing it. Oh, Arteezy jumps over onto Zayats. Pasha debating if he should go over and try and throw a Purification or not. But he's going to instead throw it onto Fly. And now moving in for the Fade Bolt. Needs another lift back. Going to go for the finish. Gets that kill. Can he get out now, though? Arteezy does have the Orb of Venom, but it's a little bit too dangerous. Like you said, committing onto anybody position 4 with that Omni Knight in lane, it's difficult to make a kill happen.
Yeah, it's a little bit annoying for EG because they don't have another hero. Like, sometimes the 4 position would be able to rotate and secure that kill, right? Like some hero with a stun or, you know, any sort of nuke, but it's an IO. And if you leave Ramses down here on his own, then he's not going to be able to do much, and then Crystallize is going to free farm. So EG kind of have this weird thing where their 4 position is really unable to move around the map, and Navi are kind of abusing that because Pasha up here with Zaya, they can play as aggressive as they want, and they know that there's a very low likelihood of a TP. And that's actually hurting EG a lot right now, is the fact that no one can really help this safe lane.
Yeah, everybody kind of has to be self-sufficient here. And at least for now, that's not really working out to their benefit too much, is there's going to be a side pull here, and it's going to be pretty tough for EG to come and contest this safely. Oh.
Ramses ate like 10 tower shots there. That's never good. You never want to see that one.
He's crazy. Ramses is one of the nuttiest. See how he plays this one out. Right now, Crystallize up to 6 stacks of the Essence Shift. He wants to just keep trading hits. Could be kind of nice for him, as Ramses is just going to chew through this next round of creeps and see if they can pull off. Oh, Pasha punches. Fly's dead again. And now trying to turn on to Pasha. Stick charges, though, to keep him alive. And then the body blocks come in from Zayats. Tries to chase with the tricks of the trade, but it's not quite going to be there. And both are going to escape, I think, on very low HP as they turn it back around. Arteezy needing to run away. Does have that permanent invisibility to be able to make his walk out. But he also took a beating, and now they just shrine up. Happy as clams.
Fly is going to bring him a salve on the Riki, so he'll be okay for now. Mid lane, Abed getting dove here. He does have a TP, but he's not going to use it. He's going to die.
And Astral is back up in a second as they're going to drop the mass amount of tips onto Abed.
I just want you to really quickly, if you haven't, just pull up the net worth and look at the difference between the TA and the OD right now. And that's kind of 2 things, right, happening at the same time. One, Abed's bought like 6 salves, and then on top of that, he's gotten solo killed twice. And again, it's about the fact that they can't help their lanes. Like, the IO can't TP. The CM is the only person on the map right now who I would say can be mobile, because, you know, Arteezy's level 6, he's got his invis. He doesn't necessarily need someone to babysit him anymore. But man, this is looking rough for EG's early game.
And I mean, a CM rotating without boots at minute 9, like, what are you really going to do on this hero at this point? Is
Probably
saving
feed.
skill. Oh, God.
I didn't see him. It's nighttime.
I think there was some pings. All right, he was just pinging that there's a ward there, but they did see magical. So going to back out now and maybe just farm up the jungle or try and stack it up a little bit more. Like, the options do not feel that huge at this stage. And, well, we'll see what EG try and accomplish over the next couple minutes. Getting close to those outpost timings. Where's the move for you, do you think?
For EG? Oh, God. That's the problem. It's like they don't really have a clear move. It's more about they need a timing. They need the Diffusal Blade on Ricky. They need a Blink Dagger or something to get in on Ramses and bottom.
Fatal Bonds. But it's going to be purged off by Ramses. Still dealing some decent damage to crit there on the IO. As they're going to bully him back up on the top lane now as we get ready for a battle for those outposts. They're able to push back Fly. Going to be able to push back Arteezy as well. And, God, if this is both outposts, this is always really painful. And oh, God. All right.
Is that the tier 2? No big deal.
They don't care. So they take one, gonna go for the duel. Chase up, can they get that kill? It looks like they are going to finish off Crystallize.
Nice, good movement.
All right. I guess that is one of the benefits there of having Arteezy with his invis can just sneak in and they go for the duel. So
yeah, they didn't have a lane ward bottom or any sentry down, so they were kind of unprepared on Navi's side to go for that outpost. A little bit of a mistake from Crystallize. Because you know that, like, Abed's not going to TP. He's getting dove under a tier 2. And it's very obvious that your Omni Knight hitting the tier 1 top means that the safe laner is probably not present. So that's just a lack of judgment. Right there from the Slark to walk to that outpost like that.
And just like that, they're able to pull it back a little bit more into their favor. Still running into some issues with this OD that just kind of got bodied in the early stages. As now Pasha pulls the creep wave back in. Got up a stack there, it sounded like, by Fly. Another round of it. We'll see if they can retreat to the jungle at some point to clear those out. But right now it's Ramses who just wants to party. Let's go. Duel comes off there. The overcharge is blowing, and seeing if they can burn through him, they do. I don't know what the thought was there.
He actually does so much damage. I was very surprised how much DPS he did there, and then I look at his skill build and I go, oh, okay, he's maxing press the attack.
That's pretty sick.
Yeah, well, you get 80 attack speed from the level 2 overcharge, and then 140 attack speed from level 4 press. So, yeah, I think not only me there, but Crystallize also underestimated how much damage he would do.
Yeah, that's been the best part, it feels like, of the IO overcharge, is that extra attack speed you have. And looking for another duel win. Ramses chases forward, gets the lift up. They kill him before he gets the duel, as it was still 7 seconds away, but they managed to find the kill nonetheless.
Yeah, they should have body blocked him, give him the BM.
Yeah.
Now this is good though. You know, now that the tier 1 in the bot lane is dead, it opens up a lot of opportunities for Ramses and Crit to kind of play the map, force reactions from Na'Vi so they can't just, you know, sit back and farm. And it's obviously going to be much needed space for Abed as well. So in this type of game, the Ricky can be more proactive once he has a Diffusal Blade. But as long as something for EG is going on where they're like pushing this bot lane right now, trying to, you know, get it towards the tier 2, if they make Na'Vi have to look bottom, that's great for EG. Anytime they're not, you know, killing Abed under his tier 2 is going to be good.
Oh, wow. Abed gets the jelly from the creep that he bought from their, dug up from the shovel. So getting maximum value out of that one. Meanwhile, we did have the Poor Man's Shield on the Ricky, I believe I saw, and a broom handle for Slark. I think they still have one more item left on Na'Vi to find in the jungle here.
Radiant's bottom tower.
See what he
Let me
ends up
check
with.
real quick. So they have all three. They have the Ironwood Tree, the Arcane Ring, and the broom handle. Yeah, and then EG have the PMS, the shovel, and the jelly.
Okay.
If you didn't know, by the way, you can just open the shop and then click the neutral tab, and then click on a hero from either team, and it'll just show you what they have.
Oh, that's really nifty. I like that a lot. Yeah. Valve know what they're doing. Helping out the casters. All right, mid lane. They spot themselves a Fly. Miss a little bit there on the trap.
They don't want to dive him. Okay.
Oh, maybe that's why. Although they do have Pasha in the area. 4 heroes mid for EG, feeling like they want to try and keep this tower alive. Meanwhile, topside, Crystallize is just playing away there with Mr. Ricky. hold off for the moment. Magical moves up, wants to try and take this one down. Steel's press the attack now. Have the fatal bonds onto everybody.
They gotta run. You can't fight with bonds.
Although they get the deny on the tower. Okay.
Nice. Well done.
Maybe revealing a little bit of the Na'Vi strat right now. Just group together as a team and then try and push down towers and say, come and deal with me.
Yeah, the TA kind of serves as a front line. It's not common that you see that, but when you have an Omni Knight and a Warlock, you have the Heavenly Grace that you can put on, and then on top of that, you have a Rock just in case that EG really want to try to commit to that fight. Because you are still playing against, you know, 2 melee cores, and I would say, as a general rule, if you're a CM or an IO, you really do not want to get hit by Fatal Bonds. Like, if you do get hit by it, you're just going to explode in the team fight. It's not really much you can do to stay alive. Na'Vi getting a quick Roshan secure. Early Deso on Magical there, we saw it on the tier 1, helped him siege there. It's going to help him get the Roshan. And they're kind of hitting all those boxes that they need, you know. Just, we got the tier 1, we immediately transitioned into Roche. And however they want to play it after this, if they want to go for like another tier 1 bottom, or if they, because they're kind of sitting on rock. And as a general thing, I don't like when teams sit on teamfight ultis for too long, but I suppose having a Slark and a TA makes it kind of okay, just because these heroes both kind of want items.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing that's a little bit different about it. At least they're still able to secure some more objectives from that. Did have a slew of the next round of items coming out now. Vambrace was picked up there as well. Got one for each team, because why not? And Magical almost now at his Blink Dagger. The 15-minute mark.
He's huge. He's got that Vambrace too, which is so nice for a mid player. It's just one of those things where it's like inventory management, you know? Just having another inventory slot available is always a really nice feeling.
Yeah. Well, and then the added benefit too. It's like that little bit extra that you would get over the top of it. So 16 minutes in, already 2 tier 1 towers taken. Na'Vi only, well, actually jostling a little bit for the lead back and forth between the two squads. And now the big thing for me that I want to watch for is when is the point where EG feel confident sort of facing off against them in a fight? Because it felt like they were sitting a bunch of heroes mid there, kind of posturing as if they'd be willing to take the engagement, but it's really only been pickoffs from Ramses that we've seen as far as EG moves.
Well, I'll tell you right now, they're definitely not comfortable taking a fight at this moment. This is a very bad time for them to fight. Mainly because it's Blink, Deso, TA, you know, it's Aegis, it's a very powerful timing. Oh my god, even has a Grove Bow. This TA is the scariest thing on the map. Like, bar none. This guy is terror.
Oh god. And they do spot crit right at the start. Jump forward, needs one hit. Wasn't able to get any type of lockdown there. And that was something that you mentioned as a problem that they faced. Although Na'Vi are going to be able to clear through these stacks, it looks like. So that little bit of extra economy going into their pocket.
Yeah, their ability to catch heroes is not very good, but they can force engagements around towers, kind of like what we saw on the mid-tier 1 siege. Right. They can kind of bait EG in. If they manage to do that, their team fight is still very good, but they need EG to be the ones initiating on them to really fully utilize this lineup.
Okay. Did see there just the quick back away. OD almost at his Aghanim Scepter. Ricky got one of the cooler items. I feel like he's pretty farmed right now as well. Has the Diffusal Blade done, a Vambrace, and then also the Aquila, which, if everybody remembers back to the wonderful days of the, like, 4 Aquila Rickies, is a pretty great item on him.
His inventory is looking really good. The M-Claw also helping. Very, very nice item to have on a Ricky. Let's see. Yeah, but this is what I meant by the game being a lot faster. It's just... Right. These items that you get, the Vambraces, the Aquilas, the M-Claws, all these things allow you to take these objectives a lot faster, and that's why the game, in this patch to me right now, feels all about how well you can control the space on the map. Because if you lose access to a jungle item for a little while and the enemy has like 2 of them and you have 0, fights can actually go really badly for you very, very quickly. And right now, Na'Vi are just taking advantage of the fact that they did get that tier 1. They got Roshan. You know, this TA's got the Dream combo, the Vambrace Grove Bow. And they're just mowing down these buildings, and EG don't want to fight into Aegis. Yeah. It's just too scary. They haven't even had to expend Rock yet, and they've taken almost every single outer tier 1. They only have the bot lane left.
Crystallize kind of stalking Arteezy here on the Ricky, waiting for him to show up, as they do have Pounce available. Zayat's gonna go for the scan as well, just to make sure that they're not on top of him, as they're expecting a move to try and take down the shrine here. But nothing doing as of yet. It's just
yeah, AG just they wanna wait it out, because as soon as they know that the Aegis is down for sure, they're probably gonna want to try to do something. The hard part is they have Rock as counter initiation, and then they also have GA. So a lot of the time, when you have an Omni, it's very rare for multiple cores to be countered by that. But the Ricky and the Legion both can't really do anything into GA, so they kind of are forced to go on the Omni, which is not ideal in my opinion, because you want to be able to focus like the Warlock, for example, because he's the one who's going to kill your team. But you can't go on the Warlock, because if you do that, then he's just going to get GA'd, and then it's a whole nother set of situations. But I suppose you could have the Ricky go on the Warlock, and then everyone else go on the Omni. That might be the way to do it.
Right. Yeah, and just try and cloud him or whatever, see if you can take him out of the fight in some way. We do get another trade-off of outposts there, and we talked about it a couple of times with that overcharge now linking up with Abed on the OD is maybe going to solve some of his problems as far as damage output's concerned in that bonus 140 attack speed. But it does still kind of cause some trouble, as they might be looking for a fight here with the relocate. Ricky already initiating, finding one on this TA. This is a big kill if they can get it.
No.
They dropped the ulti, but the turnaround comes. Magical, very low GA. The banishment, though, and now they've got him completely surrounded. On to 2, there's going to be the immediate duel win, and EG strike back in a big way, taking down 2 cores.
Nice. Really, really fast movement. That ward doing work there. We talked about the vision game, being able to get your picks. It's very important that EG had that ward, because if they didn't, they wouldn't have been able to see that opening. They also have the ward top right next to the tier 1. I'm not sure if that one was down when they made that play, but would have been close. Crystallize, trying to run away here. He's out of mana. He's just dead.
Yeah, another round of it as they get him down there. Well, also opening up on the top lane as Abed going to chase down Zayat. They have the second round. I mean, multiple kills across the map right now. Although Zayat is going to be able to steal that Astral Imprisonment. Crit, very angry, the IO. We'll see if he shoots some beeps out at him or if they're just going to let him walk away. Apparently not worth it. There could have been help coming in.
This is the big disparity between their lineups, by the way, is EG's ability to play the map is much better than Navi's. Navi are strong when they're together, and Magical potentially getting caught again here.
Man. He has that BKB, but not wanting to pop it as of yet, as they bring in Abed, and now he's forced to pop it. They turn it back around. The duel comes out, and they just blow up Magical. They can keep on streaming forward now, as there's 2 rounds of banishments. Ilia's going to go down. Zayat goes down. It was all looking great for Na'Vi, and then the past couple of minutes have just been horrific.
Yeah, Vision is like winning them the game. Like that ward top, seeing the movement, understanding that the supports for Magical weren't nearby. The fact that they could just go on him immediately, they force a 10-second BKB and still get a kill because of the duel. Like EG are just catching them off guard everywhere on the map. As soon as Na'Vi are not together, their lineup becomes insanely weak in comparison to EG. You talk about solo kill potential, they have a Ricky and a Legion with an IO. Those 2 heroes can kill basically anything on Navi's lineup, BKB or not. Like, you actually need something like a Linken's in order to protect yourself. Like, Crystallize, this guy's just spooked. He's just sitting in the trees for a while. He's going to go to the wave and immediately get jumped.
Now Chase forced to ulti and TP out of there as they did relocate, so Crystallize able to escape. I mean, you know, you look at this lineup from Na'Vi, and this is one of the, I think, strengths of the EG lineup, is they have 3 Force Staffs queued up now. On the Warlock, on the Rubik, and also on the Omni Knight. And these supports just don't get that item that helps deal with Ricky quick enough, and they're just food.
Yeah, but that's always what was going to happen in this game.
Right.
And that's why I mentioned at the beginning of the game it's going to be about vision. Because if you get spotted, you're going to die. Like, if you're someone on Na'Vi, that's just how it works. You're playing against Ricky, a Relo, and a Legion. Like, these heroes excel at being able to pick you off. If you don't have your supporting cast by you and you're a core, you're gonna die. Yeah. And the only way to prevent that is to make sure that EG can't see your movements. And they did get the ward top, so they killed one of the obs. They still have 1 deep ward in the side of the jungle, and then obviously that one near the shop. But that one doesn't really do much for them at the moment. And EG are fully aware of what's going on here.
Uh-oh.
Rock available.
Yeah, and God, that's the thing that's tough about this too. Like, as a Warlock, you see the Ricky jump into the pit, you know that they're behind him, and so you can't drop any type of small initiation there to start the fight. But Magical is going to try and take down Roshan now, and EG not really moving into position to contest this, it looks like.
I don't know if it necessarily even matters that much if they get this. I mean, they would want to fight it if they could, but it would be playing into Navi's biggest strength.
Oh God, and they're walking into here. They got to be careful. EG and Roche fights. Name a more dynamic duo as they get 4-person rocked, but is there any follow-up afterwards? The chase forward, they've got him caught. There's going to be the GA coming out already. Now Crit trying to keep their buddies alive, but able to get away from them. They get the relocate away from it. Ramses turns around, wants to go for the secondary fight. Walks up to Magical, but not able to take it. The runaway from Crystallize, he's already escaping. They have the cloud down onto several, and Abed walks in a double kill. Big ulti, drop down, and now Magical all alone. Pasha can only look on in dismay as his TA gets blown up. That's Aegis down, does have a blink dagger, but not able to get it out in time. The duel win, and EG lose nothing.
That rock just, if it doesn't win you the fight's over. Like, that's basically how it works right now for Na'Vi, because it's their only teamfight utility. They GA'd, they rocked, and that wasn't enough. That pretty much just, to me, says GG. Like, if you can't win that fight when you get a 5-man Fatal Bombs into a rock and a GA, you're not winning. Like, it's just not gonna happen.
The 9 beats coming out from Crit as they have a 7,000 gold lead, but more importantly, they are unencumbered by cooldowns. They still have 100 seconds until Warlock is going to have his ulti back up. Crystallize denies the melee barracks. I mean, they got some upheaval working, but that shit ain't going to win you the game.
Yeah, it'll happen. I mean, this is a really good talking point, I feel, for these types of games, where each lineup has a margin of error, which essentially means how many times can you biff it before you actually lose the game?
Right.
And I feel like Navi's lineup had a much smaller margin of error because they're essentially working with 2 cores that are countered by EG's lineup. Yeah. Like, Legion is really good against TA, it's really good against Slark, and Ricky is really good against Slark, and it's really good against TA. So EG have the favorable core matchups, and Na'Vi had to play this like team fight kind of thing here as we see Arteezy.
They walk away, tries to escape, but your Battle Fury won't help you now, as they do finally bring him down.
But yeah, the way these games typically go is if you're 100% reliant on teamfight, and you can't force an engagement, you have a huge problem.
Right.
And that's kind of what we saw happen in Na'Vi here. They took 2 lanes pretty convincingly. They weren't forced to use their ultimate, but each are just like, hey, you know what? We're not going to play into the strength of your lineup. We're going to play the map. We lost mid pretty hard, but that's okay because our side lanes are still doing fairly well. And then at some point, the vision game kicked in. Like, Fly's warding this game has been on point. And then they just get, like, what, 4 or 5 pickoffs in a row?
Right.
And then the dynamic of the game completely shifts. Like, Navi's momentum is just gone. They go for a Roche because they know it's pretty much their only win condition, and that fight also goes badly. So now it's, you know, that Roshan fight was probably the last straw for their match.
We got Crit getting clipped in true EG fashion here, even when they're up. As he does have to wait, and he'll be able to get back over to his team now. So he'll smoke up. Find those little moments there in the games. Yeah, though, it's what you talk about. Like, there isn't really a much better fight than that one that they were trying to take in the Roche pit, and now the question becomes, how do you hold off the aggression? What's that next item that you really need to wait for? Slark is not huge this game, by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, this dude's trying to get towards a Aghanim Scepter as they blow up the Warlock down bottom. But EG feeling quite strong.
You can't really blame Crystallize for this game, though, because they first picked Slark.
Yeah.
Like, anytime you first pick a hero, you have to go with the assumption that that hero is not going to have a good game. It just can't, especially when it's a core, because you have 5 other picks to make sure that that guy has a bad time, and he's 0, 4, and 0. The man has not been involved in a kill. And again, it's not really on him. It's more just the way that the lineup kind of plays. They had one really strong lane in the mid, and Magical played, you know, very, very well. And then their top lane did okay. But as soon as the tier 1 dies bottom, like, Crystallize doesn't have anywhere to go. Like, he can't play the map against a Ricky. Half the time he was just sitting in trees.
Yeah. No, it's
So I
true.
think it's either like worry about banning at least one hero on the second phase so that Crystallize can have a better time. Like if they banned Ricky instead of like the Naga or the PL, I dare say this game would have been more manageable for them because the Ricky just applies so much pressure to you by not being on the map.
And based upon that, like, is it mainly just this game, or are you starting to feel Ricky as maybe a possibility for other teams here? Like, this has looked really good so far.
Oh, he's very playable.
Okay.
But let's also remember that this was a very late pick.
Yeah.
So I always say that there are certain heroes that are really potent when they're allowed to be picked late into the draft. You think of the classics like Broodmother, stuff like that. Um, but there are a lot of heroes that just excel when you can pick them like ninth or 10th, and you know that the enemy is not really going to have a whole lot of answers for it. And Ricky definitely fits that category.
And you look at this now, he's got that Aghanim Scepter. The cast range on Tricks of the Trade is insane. They smoke up, they're going to get together. He's probably just going to cast this right onto Ramses, jump into the middle of the fight, and everybody is taking the Tricks of the Trade. Crystallize already dead. They find themselves the duel. Ricky's chasing them around every which way. And so far, they've already lost that Warlock, so no extra team fight coming out from Navi. Magical tries to walk away, but is not going to be able to. Pasha also in trouble. They managed to kill off a courier at the very least, but GG is called as EG, looking strong in game number 1.
Yeah, it was a really nice draft. The laning phase looked a little bit sketch, especially from the mid. But I don't know, man. These types of lineups that there's no comeback, right? That's the biggest issue with Navi's lineup. Is it doesn't matter, how good your team fight is if you only have one team fight utility, because you can't play the game if you don't have Rock. Like that's really what it came down to after they got picked off, is they could not do anything. They can't walk up to a tower. Even if they smoke, who's going to kill a hero? Like which one of them? Like Crystallize doesn't have a game. Your TA does a lot of damage, but he needs someone to lock them down, and they just didn't have it.
I mean, the thing that stands out to me here, there were 18 kills on Evil Genius's lineup. They had 50 assists. Like, that is insane. And then on the side of Navi, you end up with 4 assists on 6 kills. So the majority of those ones that happened early were with Magical finding the solo kills onto Abed, with half of them. That's what's kind of crazy to me about this game is just how much more it felt like. And maybe that's what you're talking about, of course, the nature of the drafts themselves. But it really felt like a difference in play style, part of it, and then just a little bit of outplay also. Anything that you really like to see in game number 2, changing up from Navi?
I just want them to pick at least one hero that can make stuff happen. Because this game, they had 2, sit back supports. They had these 2 really farm-oriented cores, and then they had an Omni. Right. Maybe pick an offlaner that can actually make stuff happen. But besides that, I don't think the draft idea was bad. I just think they're very hard to execute, especially against, really experienced teams like EG. They kind of knew, I think, what Navi were going for, and they just picked these heroes that, once they get a little bit of momentum and they know that the Aegis was down from the TA, they could just play the map however they wanted, and they just got to just do whatever. They were everywhere. They reload ganked. They did everything they were supposed to do. It was good.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to leave you with one final thought. Crit ending the game with the God tier IO score of 0-0 and 16. We'll be back in just a little bit with game number 2. We'll see if Navi can pull it back together or if EG are going to take this in a clean sweep here at the Dream League Major. Lucky season number 13. See you guys in a few.